Hi everyone, welcome to a new weekly update. In this video I'll take a look at all the different farms that I'm in, and we'll take a look at how I made $2,000 in less than 1 week. If you're interested in finding out more, be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe at the end of the video. First up, we'll take a look at the farms that I've exited. The first one is the Qi-Dao farm. I know I talked about it in the last video that I pulled some of my liquidity, and in the meanwhile I pulled all of my liquidity from the farm. Now the main reason is, I think, because all of the incentive programs they pushed out and all the partnerships that they have, there are a lot of Qi tokens being farmed and being dumped on the market, and this of course puts a lot of price pressure on the Qi token. On top of that, I found some more interesting farms, and that's why I moved my liquidity. Nonetheless, I kept a good portion of my Qi tokens and I've put them in the booster because I believe in this project. Of course, in general, it's not a good idea to hold on to your farm tokens, but personally I do believe that the Qi-Dao project is doing a bit more than just being a degen yield farm, and that is why I decided, for me personally, again, none of this is financial advice, but that is why I decided to hold on to some of these tokens. Nonetheless, when it comes to farming, for now it will be goodbye to Qi-Dao until they have another interesting farm coming up. The next farm that didn't make the cut is Polyshield, and the total value locked has been decreasing steadily, and of course the price of the token has been dumping as well. When it comes to returns, the APR has dropped below 100%, so in this case it's 69%. And when we take a quick look at the different farms out there, it isn't that hard to find a better APR on this liquidity pair. Additionally, I already made back my 4%, and I actually made some money on this farm already, so there was no problem for me pulling my liquidity. Alright, this brings us to the Delirium farm. We entered this one at the end of last week. It's a very interesting farm. The Sandman farm did really well for me, so I was really excited to get started with this Delirium farm. So we started out with 1.7 million in total value locked, and as you can see, we are now just below 5 million. If I'm not mistaken, the peak was 3 days ago at 5.5 million. When we then take a look at the returns, as expected, we went down from about 2000% on the Matic USDC and ETH USDC pairs. We went down to below 300%, which of course is still very, very interesting. We're talking about APR and not APY, so these are still very good returns. However, keep in mind that 4%, you have to make back that 4%, and at current rate, that will take you about 1 week. Only after that, you'll actually be making money, so be very careful with these deposit fees. When it comes to the native token, as you know, I bought some of the Delirium tokens very early on, and I put some in the Delirium Matic farm, which was above 3000%. Of course, that gave me some very nice returns. On average, during the first 3 days, I was making about $300 to $400, and the price of the token was fluctuating between $3.7 and $5. So last Sunday I started out with 168 Delirium tokens, which I then put in the Delirium Matic farm, and then of course I also started farming ETH USDC. So by Monday evening I farmed about 74 Delirium tokens, which is a little under $300. Then I decided to add some more liquidity, so the rest of the liquidity that I had over at Qi-Dao, I invested it back here in the Delirium farm. So especially on Tuesday, it was a really good day. By the evening I farmed 137 tokens. Of course, by Wednesday, the returns started to drop, but I still farmed 87 tokens. That's when I decided to pull some of my liquidity, but I did keep the Delirium tokens and I put them in the pool. As you can see, even right now, the pool is still doing very well. And by Thursday, using this combination, so 2 farms and this specific pool, I was still able to farm about 72 tokens, and on Friday I still farmed 60 tokens. So that meant that I farmed by Friday 430 tokens with an average price of, let's just say, 4.5. As we can see, the price went all the way up close to $5 on Friday, and the lowest point was 4.2. And as we can see, most of the time the price was fluctuating between that $4.5 mark. So that means I farmed just under $2,000. Of course, I still had those 168 tokens that I had in the beginning. We cannot forget about that because that was an investment that I made myself. So in total, I had about 600 Delirium tokens. Sadly, disaster struck on Saturday and the price dumped significantly to 2.7. I did see the dump, but sadly I don't do any trading on my phone for security reasons. And I have to be honest, I was a bit overconfident. I thought the price would bounce and I could just do the selling in my video today. So, to my surprise is a big word, but sadly when I woke up I saw that the price continued dumping, so I decided to sell my Delirium tokens at 1.78. So that puts me at a value for all these tokens at about 1,100, and I still had some tokens to farm, which was about $100 as well. So yeah, I sold a bunch for 1,200. And if you then know that my initial investment was $600, that means that over this week I made $600 rather than making $2,000 because I wasn't paying attention and I held on to my farm tokens for too long. Now, for those of you who have been following the channel for quite some time, you know that I have an unwritten rule that I clearly didn't follow myself. So if you are able to invest in a farm token on the first day, I think it is a good estimate that you keep it for a maximum of 3 days. So in this case, if I would have applied my own rule, that means that I would have had 74 tokens on day 1, 137 on day 2, and another 87 on day 3. So if I would have sold it on, so we started on the 19th, day 1, day 2, day 3, I would have sold it here. So I would have been able to sell it at about $4 per token. And then we have, of course, no loss on the initial tokens that we bought. So let's just call that break even. And then we would have little under 300 Delirium tokens that we would have been selling at $4.5, which is about $1,300, which is basically double of what I have right now. Not to forget that I would have been earning on my other liquidity pools in the next 3 days as well, because right now all the profits that I have made in the Delirium token include the returns that I have on the other liquidity pairs, so my Matic USDC and my ETH USDC. So basically the difference is even bigger. So I know 3 days is very short, and for me it was very tempting. As we can see, I had another 2 very good days, but sadly you don't know when it's going to drop. Most of the farm tokens, they really go down after an average of 7 to 10 days. Right now it was even a bit faster. So if you want to play it safe, I think that 3-day mark seems to be holding up for now. Sadly, I didn't follow it. And even if you are in there for 7 days with very good returns, you can see here on 1 day, I think it was less than 12 hours, it dropped 50%, and now it dropped 70%. So even if you have those 2 extra days, if you just miss it by 1 day, all your profits are gone, because these drops are so massive. It is very hard to recover from this, even if you have 7% on a daily basis in the returns. What's next for Delirium is of course very clear. I'm going to stop using the Delirium token and I'm going to continue farming my Matic USDC and ETH USDC. The returns are still very good. We're above 200% APR. The total value locked is still close to 5 million. So even if it drops 10% per day, we still have a significant volume of value locked in this platform, and the returns are still very, very good. Right now with my $600, I made back my deposit fee. So basically we're making money on this farm right now, so there is no reason not to keep our tokens locked up in here for another week. Next up we have Polypup Color. We're making a few dollars per day on our liquidity pair here, which is my USDC. Right now it's still 52%, but of course we did pay that 4% deposit fee, and to be honest, I don't think we are break even on this yet. So this just shows you how important it is to keep in mind the effect or the impact of this 4%. So right now we have to make back $40 just to break even. And right now we only make a few dollars per day. So yeah, it will take 2 weeks or so to really make money on this farm. Next, it's time to take a look at some new farms. So what I'm going to do is each time I find a new farm during the week, I will make a tweet about it. So be sure to follow me on Twitter as well. You'll find a link in the description of this video or just on the main page of the YouTube channel. In this case, I found Protofi, which is looking pretty good. Sadly, there's no time lock. Other than that, the owner did KYC, so that's good news, and they have a Certic audit. The other option was Polydragon Gold, so they have a maximum deposit fee of 5%. Keep in mind, most of the other farms have 4%, so yeah, it's another 1%. They do have a time lock, they do have a Paladin audit, so yeah, everything else looks pretty much fine. Personally, I decided to go for Protofi because the project has to offer more. They're trying to do more at least. Doesn't mean that they will succeed, but it does show that they've put more effort into the project. So they have their own exchange, their own AMM. So this does mean that you have to lock up liquidity in their platform, in their DEX. So you're not creating a liquidity pair on Sushi or on QuickSwap. So maybe that's an additional risk. However, the reason why I chose to go for this one is because they have a deposit fee of 2%. A possible drawback is that you can only harvest your rewards every 12 hours. For me personally, that's not an issue because I only compound my rewards every 24 hours, so this is definitely not an issue for me. But maybe if you want to do it more often, this could be a negative side to this farm. So right now the returns are very interesting. So we got 250 on a stable coin pair, and then on wrapped ETH Matic we have over 300% in APR. Alright, to finish off this video, we'll take a quick look at Arbitrum. So in the beginning I had some money in Neon just for fun. We're not going to talk about that one anymore. It's a meme coin. It is nothing to do with farming. Of course, then I had Honeypot, which was one of the first degen farms on Arbitrum. Sadly, the liquidity dropped significantly, so I pulled out my tokens there. And then thankfully, Yite, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, sent me a tweet on Twitter to take a look at Parrotdefi, and it definitely was looking pretty good. They're also registered on Rugdog, and they also did a bunch of other things. So yeah, it seems like they're taking their own project seriously, and they're doing at least some effort to get some verifications done. When it comes to liquidity, when I started looking, they had about 600,000 in liquidity, and now they're up all the way to 1.5 million, so that is looking good. When it comes to farms, we still have some juicy returns. As you can see right now, I still have over 600% in APR. Initially, I think it was 1500. Of course, as always, that starts to drop significantly. But yeah, 600% is still really, really good. At the moment, I'm still compounding my farm token in the Parrot Nest. So right now we're getting 2.6 thousand% in APR, which is significant, of course. But the value that I've locked up in this farm is not that much. So as you can see, we only have 3.3 farm tokens staked right now. So the risk is very limited. But if I would follow my own 3-day rule, I should be selling these farm tokens right now. And that is exactly what we'll do, because with all of these tokens, I am able to pay back my 4%. So after this, the next week, everything that I'll be farming will be profit. And just to give you guys a little bit of context, I only have about $900 locked up in this liquidity pair. So I made back $90 worth of the farm token, which of course is a 10% return, which is a lot more than the 4% deposit fee that I paid. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from this video. For example, that you shouldn't hold on to your farm tokens for too long, otherwise you'll be missing out on some nice profits. Other than that, you'll find links in the description of this video to all the different farms. And if you have any questions or you have any interesting farms, be sure to post a comment and I'll be definitely taking a look at those. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.